Hello, hello, hello! Paige here, along with
Monique.
And this is
Sacred Potential, where we talk about the overlap of creativity, spirituality, and possibility.
That is right. You guys, it's very exciting because today we have a guest. She's actually a good friend of mine. Her name is Tabitha Tangherlini. Let's say that all together. Tangherlini. There you go. Okay. So basically, Tabitha is an entrepreneur. She is a people connector, and she's just someone who values people in general. You guys will get to learn a lot about her and what she does. Seriously, you're not going to want to miss this. It's incredibly, incredibly inspiring.
And full of love.
Yes, indeed. So please stay tuned, and here we go. Today, we here at Sacred Potential are speaking with the lovely entrepreneur, Tabitha Tangherlini.
Tangherlini. Tangherlini.
You know what's funny? She and I have been friends for a while now, and I've never needed to say her last name for any particular reason.
Most people try to avoid it.
Tangherlini.
Tangherlini, yeah.
Okay, so welcome, girl. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to have you on the show. I'm trying to figure out how did we meet, but regardless of how we met, first, tell us a little about yourself.
Oh, a little about myself. Well, I'm originally from the U.S. I have been living now several years here in Europe, first in Switzerland, now in Germany. I am one of those excited people that has energy even in the early morning without coffee. So even at 8 a.m., I'm like, yay! And everyone's like, stop, please. And I love bringing people together. I love cooking. I love doing several different things. There used to be a saying of Jack of all trades and then went to Jane of all trades. I have a little bit of stuff like that, but anything tech or sports, nope.
Okay. So maybe just to even kind of like piggyback on that idea, if you could not say your name or what you did for a living or what you're passionate about, and I said, who are you? Girl, what would you say?
So there was a long time ago, there was this commercial in the US, and it was of a motorized bunny. And the whole time it's doing this with its hands, and it's a commercial for an Energizer bunny. So it's for a battery. This is not a promo for anything. But the whole time, the whole commercial is, it would get blown. There would be bombs beside it, fire, things would happen, and this bunny would keep on going. And so I think that's always stuck with me. And I think that's, if you describe that's who I am, is this Energizer bunny, because I just keep going. Like things happen, you get knocked down, and it's like, oh, it gets back up and it keeps going. So I think that would be the best way. Like I used to call myself a survivor, but then a survivor is not really living life. Like if you get washed up on a deserted island, you've survived, you don't have food, you don't have this, but you survived. So I now call myself a champion. It means you have your battles, you go into it, but at the same time you rejoice in your wins, you know that you've overcome it. Something else, you know something else is going to come, but it's okay because you're still going to get through it and you're still going to live life and do the next challenge. So that would be how.
Nice.
I love that. I love that. Okay, Mom.
I'm a survivor. Still listen to that.
I love it. Yeah. So, you know, that the show is about the overlap of creativity, spirituality, and possibility. So how do you see the overlap of creativity and spirituality happening in your life and in what you do?
For one thing, I think first seeing that I'm also a spiritual being. There are more facets and more part of me. So one, I believe that we're all creative because of this. And so I automatically, when I go into situations, I think at some point I'm going to get an idea. At some point I'm going to be able to think differently. At some point I'm going to be able to take these different aspects because it's part of my nature. So it's like, even when you come up with challenges, everything else, it's like, okay, whether or not I have to take a moment out or pray or whatever, but we're going to work this out. And then I think also, like I said, with me being also a spiritual being, it also, what my goals and my focuses are sometimes a little bit different. So for my business, it's not, my only goal isn't just making money. Now, I don't think making money is a bad thing. I heard someone tell a story once that said, for the story of the Good Samaritan, this guy gets beat up. He's on the side of the road. All these religious people pass him by. They don't help him. And this one guy comes and he puts him on his Ferrari of the day, his best donkey, takes him to a hotel, pays the stay, takes care of him. And he's like, if there's anything else that needs to be covered, I'll take care of it when I get back. If he didn't have money, he wouldn't have been able to help the guy. He would have had no resources to take him to the hotel. He wouldn't have had to be able to put him on his donkey anywhere. And I think that's for anyone in business. It's, I don't think money's making a bad thing. At the same time, it's how am I going to use it? So like if you have a business that has several people working for you, one, you impact your employees. You have a possibility of helping them to have a goal for what they do, a passion for what they do. Secondly, they're having money to pay for them and if they have a partner. And then if they have also a kid, you're also affecting the life of that kid, because when that parent comes home, if they're happy or if they're excited or if they're having to worry about money issues or all these other aspects, that affects that kid and how he operates and how he, with other classmates or different things of how he interacts. Is he going to be loving or is he going to be a bully? Like, all these things, a part of our society, play into that. Mm-hmm. And so I think for when I do business and everything else, it's yes, I do want to make money for these other aspects. At the same time, we are more than just that. So what other aspects am I looking at? How else do I want to affect something? How else do I want to bring change? Mm-hmm. So I think those are the biggest things for me.
Mm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow, so beautiful. Tell our audience about what it is that you do, because I know you through Paige. But I also know you through pretty much most people I run into are like, oh, Tabitha. And then they start talking about how amazing you are. So tell us about what it is that you do.
So right now, what I do is I do events or experiences to help bring people together. So I call it a community, and we focus on people that are doing amazing things. So you could be running your own business. You could be creating a sustainability project. You could be an author. Like, you're doing something and you're moving forward. And we create events, or what we call experiences, where we help these people to connect on a deeper level. So it's not you go to somewhere and you go, my name is this, I'm from this, great to meet you. Or if you go to a networking event, it could be a lot of talk and then you walk away, not really have gained anything, or you waste a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So all of the experiences that we build are intentional. They're invitation-based, so we actually choose, okay, who will be great to meet together? So maybe they'll have a catalyst and create a new company, or they have a great idea for moving their business forward, or they have a great idea and then they create a book together. Like, all these different aspects, or even just personally, it doesn't have to be job-based or career-based. It could also be they meet and then all of a sudden they find their relationship or become their new best friend that weathers through everything. So that's what we are building. So we're very intentional about building those connections, because as we go through, it's very important to have a community. And a lot of times, most people don't live near their family anymore. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people aren't in religious communities, mm-hmm. and we don't really have any more city centers. Mm-hmm. So where can people really grow this? Where can they really share this or go further? And so that's what we're focused on building with that, is helping people to have that community of like-focused people. We don't say like-minded. We don't all have to think the same way or approach things the same way, but like-focused. They're about self-development. They're about moving forward. They're about sharing their passion. They're about different projects. Mm. And we do this through food and other areas, because a lot of the events we do are through food. Since for years, that's how people can come together. Even if you don't know them, you can start by like, this food is amazing. It reminds me of this. And then going on for there. So we have different ways that we do this, because we have singles events. We have networking events, as I mentioned. We have cooking nights. We also have social dining nights where we have a chef come in, and then a themed topic where we really break into that like on a deeper, meaningful conversation style.
Wow. Amazing.
It's absolutely fabulous.
You're a people connector.
Yeah, that's what I've called her. I call her the people connector. I've actually met some amazing people at your events, people that I'm still friends with to this day. So I'm very thankful for this, and I'm just so excited for people to learn more about this towards the end, because we're going to be posting all about this and everything like that. But
what's the name of your company?
It's called In Koto, which stands for In Community Together. And now it's spelled with a K, so it was a correct misspelling. But yeah, NKOTO, in community together, because that's what we are.
Nice. All right.
I was just going to say one thing, because for when I was coming up with a name, we were going through all these different things, and I found out from a Finnish friend when I was picking 4 different names that koto actually means home in Finnish. And I thought that's very appropriate, because it's actually that feeling of home when you come to a dinner event, or we come to this to be able to share, to be able to build those relationships. And it's also apparently a Japanese instrument.
Oh,
Okay.
Amazing.
It brings music to life, it all goes together.
Music and home. I love that.
So how would you say, I mean, you might have already kind of stated this, but how would you say your faith plays a role in how you do business with others?
I think it's for how I do business or how I focus. For me, when I do my business, for everything that I do, it's about placing value. And it's also about speaking to potential. Like I used to teach for several years. And you say, if a kid acts out, they're not a bad kid. That behavior at the moment is not favorable, but that doesn't make them bad. And especially, as you probably know, working with people can be very frustrating. It can be very irritating. At the same time, it can be very rewarding. And so when you're working with people, at the end of the day, most people don't come in with a bad intention. Everyone's trying to do their best and to figure out life as the best that they know how. Not everyone has the same opportunities. Not everyone has the same perspective. Not everyone's had the same experience. So how they work it out can look very different. And sometimes I can take that as, oh, okay, this is not okay, or this. And yes, we all need to grow, and we need to learn, and we need to shave off our little hard edges. But I think going in at the end of the day, it's going, okay, most people don't come in with the wrong intention. How can I help someone to grow? What value do I see from who they are that I can actually point out to and remind them? Because all day long with reviews and everything else, we hear how we do things terrible. We usually know what we do. But it's going and saying, hey, this is what I saw, this went really well, or let me introduce you to this person because they do this really amazingly and you're doing this right now. I think that would really connect on this level. And so it's about, we all know all these aspects of how we can bring ourselves down. It's kind of highlighting, okay, this is what you can do. This is the future that's possible. This is what I see, and kind of pointing to that more. And I think because of my faith and how I see things, it helps back, because yes, situations happen. We get upset with people, we get hurt with people and everything else. But then it comes back to, okay, let's make sure that I'm okay. And at the same time, what can I do for this? It's like a dog. If it's hurt, then it's going to snap at everyone comes close. It has nothing really against you. It's hurt and it thinks you're going to hurt it. And so that's that same way of like, okay, make sure I'm okay. So how can I communicate in a way that they start seeing, okay, there is something more than it looks like I'm going after you.
Oh, wow.
That's the easiest way I could explain it.
Okay. Wow, you're like answering all of my questions all in one.
I have a different aspect of it. You could always ask again.
Well, it was basically talking about, because the thing is, we call you an entrepreneur because you have this business, this events business that you're currently really working on, but you're a Jane of all trades, as you've stated. So what other passions and gifts would you say you possess?
Oh, wow. Okay, passions, I can do that. Gifts, it depends on whose perspective. Some things I do, and I'm like, oh, no, I don't know. Someone else comes, and they're like, bah, bah, bah. I'm like, I tried. So what I'm passionate about, as you know, as I already mentioned, I am passionate about bringing people together, of building those connections, of helping people. So my background is education, social work, and psychology. And so that's all about helping people to kind of reach their goals or to get things out of their way so they can move forward. I'm also passionate about food. I love the aspect of community that it brings, of how you can celebrate, of how you can just have joy of something that's really nice and just like, oh, this moment. Because in a way, it's like there's eating because you need to survive. And then there's eating to celebrate, to have joy and everything else. That doesn't mean go out and eat everything, but same of taking that time of taking care of yourself in a way. of taking those, I've spent a little extra time on myself, and because I've talked with some people, and some people only cook if there are other people around. So if they don't have a partner, or if they're single, or if they're living by themselves, or all these other aspects, they're like, oh, well, no, I don't want to take the time for that. But at the same time, you're putting kind of value on yourself on making a great dish, and said, I did it because I'm amazing. And I wanted these ingredients, so let me do that. So every once in a while, I'll go and buy that nicer cut of salmon, that nicer cut of meat, or those little truffles and everything else. And it's just for me, not to impress anyone else or anything else. What else? And I love reading. Reading is probably my big thing. Being active is another. I trick myself in ways to do this through podcasts usually. But I would say those are certain areas that I'm really passionate about.
Beautiful. What would you say to someone who's feeling afraid or hopeless right now?
Yes, I remember. Okay. One, I would say 4 things. One, breathe. I think it's so easy with everything else to get caught up with what everyone's saying and what everyone's doing. Like at the moment, I don't watch the news. Like I find out the facts I need to find, look at different sources so I can get as narrowed down to the facts of what's happening as it is. But I don't constantly watch the news because news is usually focused and biased towards what's negative. And there could be 5 million things happening good in one place, and they'll find the one bad thing and highlight that. So I think the first thing is to breathe. And next is, and it gets bandied around a lot, and a lot of people talk about it, but being grateful. So I try to think of each day in the morning 3 things that I'm grateful and thankful for. And I've been to where I've had money. I've also been to where I was so far in the debt and government seized my bank account so I couldn't do anything. So I've been through both of those scenarios. And even in that, where you're looking at this and going, this is going wrong, this is not happening, this is not, you just see wall, 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 you can still find 3 things that are going well. Whether it's simply that I'm alive to the next day, or I'm able to move, or I'm at it could be very simple things. Because some days it's like, okay, let me figure out the very basic. I'm breathing. And then some days you're like, okay, this is happening in my life. This is happening. It's great. So I think that's the biggest thing, because it changes your perspective, and it's changing it from everything from being overwhelming. Because you're finding those areas going, yeah, that isn't going so well right now, but this is going well. And this is what I can look to, and this is what I can rejoice in. So I think that would be another area for that. Also, I have a saying, especially when I talk to people that are wanting to start a business or wanting to do a project and everything else, I always ask, what is the worst thing that can happen? Because a lot of things we go, the little thing, and at the end of the day, it's like, someone asked me the other day, is like, oh, so what happens if this business doesn't work out? I'm like, okay, so I've lost some money here, I've lost this, but it won't kill me. I'll still be alive. And if you're looking at a situation, yes, sickness, disease, that's a whole different matter, and you have to but at the same time, if something can kill you, it's also important of who do you have in your life? What community do you have? Because at the end of the day, when it's in that situation, then it's also relying or taking that of other people. So let's say if you're going through maybe a health scare, it's also, yes, you need the doctors, yes, you need this, but you also need friends and family that constantly give you that encouragement, that are constantly cheering you on, or constantly this. Or let's say you have a business didn't go so well, and now you're all this money behind and everything else, then you also have people in your network to help you find opportunities or help the doors open or different things like that. And yes, it's also about you making things happen, but at the same time is you do have a community around you. So if you have no one in your life that you can give a call to, that you can rely on, that can give you that pep talk or anything else, then that's what I would look at first, of who can I build in my life? Who can I build that would be trustworthy, that I can actually rely on? And it's not you taking everything out. At the same time, you're also for them, which also takes the focus off you. So when something else is happening in their life, you're that strong point. And it's always the healthy relationship. It's not someone taking everything from someone else, and it's never swings the other way, or it's always being more toxic. So it's finding those healthy people, but it's having that community, which is a really big thing with everything that's happening right now, of having someone that calls you and goes, how are you doing? Same time you calling someone else going, everything good? We good? You doing good? Do you need anything? Of having as simple as a phone call. but having those people in your life. And I think the last point would be not living your life with regret. So sometimes not following a dream or not going a certain way, you look back and go, oh, I really wish I could do that, or I really wish I spent more time here, or really. And so when I did theater on the road for 3.5 years, I would stay with all these different families. And I remember I've met a few of them, and they were like, oh, I've always wanted to do what you did, but they got a partner or got something or whatnot. And they almost were a little bitter about what they did have, because they were focused on, oh, not doing this, and look at everyone living their best life doing this. And so I try to get for my decision, I'm like, okay, what can I do? Does this need to be done? And does it need to be done by me? Or what can I change in that area to live in a way that at the end of the day I can say, if I were to die tomorrow, yes, I have a lot of dreams and everything else I still want to do, but am I okay with it as it is?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And I will say that, just to piggyback on what you said in terms of community, you're very good with that in terms of checking in on people. I've gotten a call, you're really good with that. And again, once again, you're like a people connector, and you really, you practice what you preach, and it's, that's very refreshing.
Yeah. And you can definitely see your, just your compassion and your understanding of people and different kinds of people, and the just what keeps coming out is this non-judgmental nature.
Yes.
That you just love people where they're at and for who they are, which is really beautiful.
I think that's also the power of our story, because it's usually, I always say, people that work usually in psychology are a little messed up themselves. They've had their own story of why they're actually studying this, or why they're doing this, or why they're working in that field or whatnot. But a lot of times because communication, a lot of times, one of our values for the company is that we speak to understand. We're not putting all of what we want already in so that we have the next question ready as soon as someone stops talking. We're speaking to understand, and so to ask questions of really getting someone else's story. Because when you hear someone else's story, I've met people that at first we met each other, we rubbed each other the wrong way. Like, it was not happy. But at the same time, you start hearing their story and hearing their motivation for things, and then you're like, okay, I might not agree with this outcome, but I can understand how they got to this point. I can support them to bring them further, to help them grow as a person, but at the same time, I can understand where they come from, or how they got to this point, or maybe seeing what they could do for the future. And I think that's very important, is to really listen to stories, to really hear those stories, because it also keeps you human. Because like, if your life is like, you've accomplished this and you accomplished this and accomplished this, it's very easy to go, I'm great, I'm amazing, just check Instagram for a little while, you'll see it. But at the same time, if you keep hearing the stories of others and everything else, it's like, okay, no, still on the journey, still doing that, still having to breathe into that. It's not finished yet.
Yeah.
I like a saying, it says, the story is unfinished. Your story isn't finished. And so
with all of this, how would you like to be remembered?
I had an exercise one time where you're supposed to write your gravestone and write what you want on it. But no, like, obviously for like what I do with my company, I love being a part of people's stories. Like, 2 people met at one of my events. I found this out yesterday. And one got hired by the other one to do a job for their company or for the project that they're working on. So I love being a part of that story, that knowing something I did, facilitated, had that outcome, and was great for both of them.
Yeah.
And I still have several other ideas I want to do in the area of education, in the area of juvenile detention, everything else. And so I would love for those projects and this project to go on even after I'm not there, to still have effects. But I think for me, myself, is to be a part of people's stories and know that what I've done or what I've built or all the different things that, or being able to share my stories, had effect on someone else. Of having later on or at some point someone coming up and saying, okay, well, I was at this point, I didn't see a way to go further, and this came to me, or this was that, or I met this person, and now I was able to take care of my family. I was able to do this. I was able to do the next step, and now they are thriving and going further and everything else. I think that's the biggest thing of what I would like to be remembered, is being a catalyst for other people to move forward. I think that would be embody kind of what I do and what I attempt to do in the best of my ability.
And so shall it be.
Yes.
Seriously.
And so
it's inevitable.
Yeah, and so is
Here you
it.
are.
I mean, honestly,
Yes,
the things, I'm telling you, you are a catalyst. You are the common denominator for a lot of the successes that are happening around you. It's quite amazing. I really, once again, I love just this one project. Of course, again, you have many, but this one project that you're currently focused on is brilliant. It's so great. And thank you so much, Tabitha, seriously, for joining us and speaking with us, because like the world needs to know you. And
Let me see.
and so could you say maybe officially when your website will be launched?
So it's going to be launched on Wednesday. My original plan was it to be launched yesterday.
May 27th.
Then,
May 27th, just saying because this will be aired after. So
yes,
it's already live.
May 27th.
I think we're frozen.
Yeah, we're frozen.
So originally my plan was it would be finished yesterday. And then I had a friend go through my website and he's like, that needs to be changed. This is not very customer friendly. This isn't customer centric. You need to move this around here and move this around here. And I was like, but I just created this whole thing from scratch. So this year I renamed it, giving it different colors, everything else, and putting everything under a very central place and giving it very clear guidelines and everything else like that. So it's much easier to be able to support. Because like as of right now, we are doing a lot of online experiences to help companies, meetups, associations really with their community building. And so for putting it all together, it's easier to communicate that, like, okay, this is how we're helping you build your community. Yes, I have the community we're building as a company, but we can also help you build yours. So it makes that very clear, very central to the point.
Can't wait to see it.
Seriously.
Can't wait to see it.
I'm so excited because and seriously, you guys, for those listening, really, it's such an amazing project. It's so, because I've been to a few events, several events, in fact, met amazing people, had amazing food, and just where you're taking it, the categories, the experiences are just out of this world, literally, because some are, well, not out of this world in terms of space, but there will be travel.
You're gonna have to have a dinner on Mars, but
right. Hey,
anything's possible.
Anything's possible. That's the next step. That's the next step.
Have Elon Musk call me. We'll figure out something, and then
Exactly. But okay, thanks once again, Tabitha. We really appreciate having you on the show, and continue doing what you do, because it's so many people are reaping the benefits from it. Honestly.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for both of you for having me. Feel very honored and had a good time for here.
Thank you. Be blessed.
Thank you so much once again, Tabitha. Learned so much, and it really warms my heart. It just made me, for some reason, want to love people more after listening to that.
Yeah, she's very full of compassion and just other-centered in terms of seeing people for who they truly are and caring about people wherever they're at.
Yes, thank you so much, Tabitha. And thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Bye.